Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Novatia binti Dreamy. We would like to present you our grouping assignment online visit entitled National Archive of Ireland. Grouping assignment is especially for IMR 455 Administration of Archive. This assignment consists of Hajar Amani binti Muhammad Daud, Muhammad Ishraq bin Saharuddin, Nur Fahanis Nazifa binti Muhammad Fauzi, and myself, Nur Fatihah binti Dreamy. This grouping assignment is prepared for Sir Kamarul Azwan bin Azman.
Assalamualaikum. So today I will introduce about the National Archive of Ireland. The National Archive of Ireland was established on a year 1 June 1988 following the amalgamation of the State Paper Office, which called as a SPO, and the Public Record Office of Ireland, called a PROI, and the SPO was established in a year of 1702 as a repository of record related to the administrative of the various lords, lieutenants, the English monarchs representative in Ireland, who until the date and taken all their record with them on the living office. The SPO was situated in the Dublin Castle until 1990, and the PROI was established under the Public Record Ireland Act in a year 1967 to acquire administrative court and probate record over 20 years old. The PROI building in the forecourt was seized during the Civil War. The repository building was destroyed by fire in June 1992, along with most of the record, some dating back to the 13th century. Next, following the establishment of the modern Irish state in 1922, the PROI and SPO continued to function until the enactment of the National Archive Act at the year of 1986, which transferred their function and holding to the new established National Archive. Under the legislation of record of government department and their agency are transferred to the National Archive when they are 13 years old. So this is the preface of a web page National Archive. So there are many functions there. We can search online catalog, contact and find the National Archive of Ireland. There are some menu in their website. So continue with the next person.
Okay, so we continue to the list of activity or topics. The first one is acquisition and collection. The National Archive of Ireland collects, manage, and preserve the public records of Ireland and guarantee that it's accessible as a resource and to protect the rights of citizens. National Archive Act of 1986 governs most of the National Archive acquisition activities. The principal acquisition criteria include: the first is the statutory duty under the National Archive Act of 1986. Second is relevance to the acquisition policy. Third, records of national significance that supplement the National Archive holdings. And lastly is deposit by private individuals or institutions. Okay, next, we continue that the National Archive do not acquire some point, which is printed material such as collection of newspaper clippings, prints and drawing. Second is a copy of already held paper, which is including transcript and personal genealogical research. Third is only in extraordinary situation are ephemera collected. And lastly, some archives specialize in acquiring photographic, film and audio archive. The National Archive will not purchase such record unless they are directly relevant to the core holdings. And then we go to the appraisal and disposal. The first is the National Archive Acts of 1986 and National Archive Regulation of 1988 are the primary statutes related to the disposal or retention of a State Department record as archive. Second, regarding the management of public records, including their destruction, retention, or withholding, the National Archives Act of 1986 has precedence over all the legislation. And third is, before record can be destroyed, retained, or withheld, the National Archive Act of 1986 and National Archive Regulation of 1988 must be followed. And then we go to the accessioning. Accessioning is the process of includes the development of Internet Information System. An accession register or log assign the collection a unique number, typically the year plus an identifier, so immediately creating a permanent records for the collection. This number also serves as a chronological log of materials entering the system and the chronicle of the required legal and intellectual information. And it is required to assign a unique reference code to every document transmitted to the National Archive, which is to maintain the document security and prevent duplication of number, which can cause unneeded hassles and confusion for researcher and personnel. And lastly, each National Archive file has a unique reference code that should use in citation. This reference code for departmental files moved during the past 18 years will be a three-part numeric code. This will be assigned the following accession number. As we can see, there are 5 accession number, which is number 1 NAI 2017 11 stroke 478, followed by the others. Okay, so we continue with the other presentation.
Thank you, Ishraq, for the... Okay, so for the arrangement and description, the National Archive organized using ISAD and G. This International Council on Archive Standards assure certain information is captured, allowing researchers to access a record's value. All government's data supplied in recent years is categorized according to ISADG and published to the web catalog after modification. General International Standards Archival Description ISADG is an ICA content model ICA. ISADG provides recommendations for describing archival resources based on the principle of respect describing fonts. ISADG outlines 26 elements of a descriptive records such as identity statement, context and structure, condition of access and use, allied materials, note and description control, and provides content materials describing archive. A content standard is based on the ISADG content model and ISARR CPF DACS2. The 4 principles of ISADG is: the first one is description proceeds from the general to the specific. Secondly, information should be relevant to the level of descriptions. Thirdly, description should be linked between the levels by making clear of the levels of the unit of descriptions. Lastly, non-repetition of information, such as do not repeat information already given at the font level. Next. Information recorded comprises a reference code, title and dates, open and close date. It may also include a record description and reference code. As we see here, this is the example of the information recorded. Next. Archive repository and digital management. So for this, archive repository and digital management manage the National Archives. This activity comprises ensuring archives are preservedly safe and ideal archival settings, keeping correct data to find each document, and managing archive to a from the reading room. The division is also responsible for reproduction service, including certified copies, licensing, copyright, and publishing authorization. As a part of its activity, the division conducts digitalization initiative and expand online digitized resources. Archive, repository, and digital management work closely with the Office and Public Works to provide archive storage and accommodation space for the National Archive. It is also the point of contact that for the archive repository project to develop new archival standard facilities at the Big Bishop Street. All digital content will be managed through digitalization and digital preservation. Next. Conversation surveys are vital to the long-term preservation of archive. The unit works with colleagues to discover and analyze damaged collection and repair them as needed. Conversation must be analyzed or digitized collection to guarantee the optimum picture quality. All freshly transferred content must be inspected to avoid storing tainted archive. So the National Archive has a disaster recovery plan outlining what to do if in case of flood and fire. Access and reference service, the majority of archive may be viewed in the Bishop Street reading room and online keyword using keyword as listed below. So this is the interface of the website on the National Archive. So for the advanced service option allows that user to narrow the limit in the scope of a search by using the multiple field. Okay, that's all for my side. Can continue to the next presenter.
Okay, continue with the outreach activities. The first activity is education and outreach. The National Archive support research and learning and can provide guidance and advice of using their collection. They also provide more formal assistance with the learning and research. Next activity is about a group visit. The National Archive of Ireland also can to welcome group who want to learn more about their hoarding and engage in the research with the collection. The ability to facilitate group visit is limited and it's subject to the availability of staff. Next, outreach activities is about facilities, which is accommodate to the maximum of 20 individual in the conference room. Next is accessibility, which is a reading room and the conference room are wheelchair accessible. There are access to both area in by the lift, and tour of the record repository may not be suitable for individual with the mobility issue. Lastly, outreach. The National Archive of Ireland also provide a free professional genealogy advisory service to the researcher. This service is available from Monday to Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. which break for lunch from 1:30 to 2 p.m. To everyone in the profession of the valid reader ticket, the service is staffed by professional genealogists who are all members of accredited genealogists Ireland. Next is about SWOT analysis presented by Teha.
Thank you, Hajar. Next is a SWOT analysis, which is SWOT. S stands by strength. Strength for this National Archive is to ensure the reliable storage of data and transfer of the financial assets. It's also to support the proper handling of all transactions and to ensure more trust in financial transactions. This strength is also to prevent the double spending problem and to achieve efficiencies in terms of transactions throughput and energy consumption. Next is weakness. The weakness of National Archive is likelihood of transaction forgery, reversal, and censorship. The vulnerabilities such as security issue, data corruption and fraud, monopolistic behavior, information asymmetry, and agency problems. This is also include expensive bank fees and exchange rates. However, for the opportunities in a National Archive, we can facilitate audition activities and to ensure the consistency of data records. It is also to increase transactional efficiency, synchronization, and accountability. This is also to maximize coordination efficiencies and enable substantial cost savings. Last but not least, for threats in National Archive. Number one is to susceptibility to fraud and malicious attacks, inefficiencies and uncertainties. This is also include privacy intrusion and inconvenience, agency problem, risk and fraud. Threats can also include security attacks and transaction delays, and hampering of autonomy, collaborative arrangement, and mutual aids. This is also include of strengths, weakness, opportunity, and threats that experienced by the National Archive of Ireland during its conceptional and launching are investigated and has been discussed. However, this transformation of the National Archive of Ireland was examined in detail and discussed using the public management functions, and namely policy making, organizing, planning, leadership, motivation, control, and evaluation. This SWOT or strength, weakness, opportunities, and threats that has been experienced by the National Archive of Ireland are focused on. This is one of the example for the security deposit agreement. This security deposit agreement is a national archive that mandate by law to preserve the records of central government in Ireland. It also operates under the provision of the National Archive Act in year 1986, which provides for the preservation of such records and their transfer to the National Archive when 30 years ago, in order that they can be made available for research use.
So the conclusion is, archiving is the process by which inactive information in any format is securely stored for a long period of time. Such information may or may not be used again in the future, but nonetheless should be stored until the end of the retention schedule. While a quality website is clean, well organized, easy to navigate, clear and concise, modern in the term of style and layout, functional, branded, and motivate the visitor to do a business. Information such as the hour of operation, location, and contact info should be extremely easy to find. People want a quick solution to their problem or a quick answer to their questions. They also want to look at the something that is visually appealing. A quality website looks good in all browsers and looks good and easy to use on a mobile device. The current trend of increasing mobile use to access the internet means the website need to be properly built and designed for optimal mobile viewing. A quality website is also well polished. This means it's no spelling or grammatical error, no lame clip art, no blurry image, no loose end. So the content is complete and visually appealing. The font mesh across the entire website and font color and size choice have been properly made. Thank you. That's all from us.